Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight. Is there anyone on Zoom, Becky?
Yes, but they're all publicly released.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, you can pick.
Kevin,
Okay,
motion.
okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, next item on the agenda, the council workshop report. That the council workshop was held on May 6th, and that is available on the city's website, so I will not be reading that. Along with that item on the agenda is a mayor proclamation, and I would like to read the following for the 2024 Older Americans Month proclamation. Whereas Hampton, Iowa includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their time, wisdom, and experience to our community, and whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently, and whereas Hampton, Iowa recognizes the need to create a community that offers the services and supports older Americans may need to make choices about how they age, and whereas Hampton, Iowa can work to build an even better community for our older residents by developing meaningful relationships and social connections, encouraging physical activity, not limiting our thinking about aging, exploring and combating stereotypes, emphasizing the many positive aspects of aging, inspiring older adults to push past traditional boundaries, and embracing our community's diversity. Now, therefore, I, Jim Davies, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Hampton, do hereby proclaim May 2024 to be Older Americans Month. I urge every resident to celebrate our older citizens, help to create an inclusive society, and accept the challenge of flexible thinking around aging. And that's dated the 7th day of May in the year of 2024. And I'll be delivering a copy of that to the Senior Citizen Center on Friday. Okay, moving on, the next item on the agenda is public comment. There is none registered in advance. Is there any public comment from anyone here this evening?
I have one.
Sure, would you like to approach the podium, please? And thank you.
I want to know why, when there is a city council report from all of you city council members, how come you don't have a report for us? Jerry, I don't hear much about your Ward 4. I hear about uptown stuff. I don't hear about your Ward 4.
Can you tell me what you're expecting?
Yes, the streets, Memorial Park could use some new equipment down there for the children. Kwanzaa, the Kwanzaa Club, they have all kinds of stuff at the East Park, but there's nothing at Memorial Park. So how about if you two visit and try to get some decent equipment like at East Park to Memorial Park?
I do believe they did update that a
Not
year
enough.
ago. A year ago.
Not enough. This East Park has got a lot. And I'm looking at you, Jim, because I know you're part of the Kiwanis. So you need to start building up Memorial Park.
Well, Harriman's Park also has a really
Yeah, but
nice thing that
again,
Kiwanis had done.
There's a lot of families that live in that Memorial Park area, and they need to have some playground equipment down there.
Kiwanis is always looking for new members if you'd like to get involved.
No, I do not want to get involved. I'm just telling you that Jerry needs to pay attention to Word 4 a little bit more.
Thank you.
And if you don't have a report, you always say no report.
No, I don't.
Once in a while you do.
Well, once in a while I do, but that's not all.
I want to hear everybody to have something.
Why don't you run for city council?
I tried, and
Yeah.
Barry and I talked about it, and he decided it would be of the Hampton City best interest if I stopped running for the city council, and he took it and ran with it. So I tried.
I am so proud of you.
You betcha, and I'm proud of myself for even standing up here tonight, because you know what? I've had some awesome, good, what do I want to say, experiences lately.
Well, good.
And I'm not afraid to stand in front of that thing, but I don't have to tonight, because I want to be personal. Barry, I want to see you come down our street and look at some things. Because at the
I
bottom,
know how they are.
because at the very bottom of the dead end,
I know how they
the
are.
drains are not even open for the floodwaters to go through.
Well, you
Right
could,
down by the dead end.
the Public Works Director would address that.
Okay. So you and him need to talk about that, because you're on city council.
Most of my questions are directed when they're standing at the podium.
So be it. You heard my voice.
Why do you have to be so hostile?
Because it's having one of those moments. And I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment from the audience this evening? Okay, seeing none. There is no old business this evening. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to back up. We have a public hearing. Sorry about that. On the adoption of plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the construction of the 2024-2025 street rehabilitation program. So we'll open this public hearing at, what time do we have? 6:07. And then I will refer comment now to Mark Crawford of Crawford Engineering. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, everyone. A week ago today, last Thursday, we received and opened bids for the 2024-2025 Hampton HMA Street Rehabilitation Program. Just as a refresher for you all, that is a project that includes 2nd Street Northeast from 1st Avenue Northeast to 3rd Avenue Northeast. That is the base bid for the project. The project also includes 3 bid alternates. 7th Street Southeast from 1st Avenue South to Central. 6th Street Southeast from 1st Avenue South to Central. And Federal Street South from 1st Avenue to 2nd Avenue. We had one bid that was received and opened that day. I believe you all have a copy of the bid tabulation in front of you. After reviewing the bids with the Public Works Director and the City Manager, and reviewing the budget for the project that the city has, it's our recommendation that we the city award the base bid and all 3 bid alternates based on the prices that were received. So later on tonight, you'll have resolutions to take formal action on approving those bids. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions from the council?
No.
Okay, seeing none, is there any public comment that would like to be made during this hearing? Okay, seeing none?
Well, I will
Oh.
make a comment.
Sure, go
I
ahead.
just want people to know that we have reviewed all this over and over and over again, and I don't want you to think that we're not paying attention to this, because we are. We have been working on this for months. We're ready to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other additional comments? Otherwise, we'll close this hearing at 6:09 PM. Okay, now the next item on the agenda is old business, of which there is none, so we'll move right to new business. The first item on the agenda is Hampton Dumont Community School District requesting use of the parks for summer lunch distribution program. And I don't think Kathy
No, she's not
is
there.
here, but we did discuss this at the workshop meeting. Is there any further discussion on that?
I wasn't here, and I didn't catch which park they'd be using, or are they gonna rotate?
Well, I think they had talked about Progress Park and Bandshell Park, at
Okay.
least those two.
Okay, thank you.
My only concern is that they address the safety issue with the crossings. And like Kevin brought up, that maybe a hand washing station or something.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments?
I believe as far as the hand washing station, they were going to move forward with the hand sanitizer, which I think is, from a medical perspective, just as good, if not better, at times. So I'm comfortable with the hand sanitizer, using that. I do agree with the potential of crossing the highway if they would have some way to make that a safer means for the kids that are dropped off.
Yeah, it was my understanding, I think, that they were gonna talk about that and then get back to us with that. I don't know if that would be something where we would need to wait or not before we gave approval. I guess that would be up to the council to decide that.
Well, I believe when we asked how many kids were dropped off and how many kids walked, the majority of it was the kids that were dropped off at the site was the majority, than opposed to those who walked. So I feel comfortable with moving forward.
Okay, so I would be looking for a motion and a second then to approve the request of the Hampton Dumont Community School District regarding the use of the parks for summer lunch distribution program, if that is what the council would like.
So moved.
Okay, Bill
I'll second it.
and Jerry will second that. Is there any further discussion before we put that to a vote? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, next item under new business is the consideration of awarding the May 2024 Image of Pride to Scott and Jane Hoig for the property located at 943 Glendale Park Drive. And I'll turn this over to Kevin Blanford.
Well, this year I was elected for May to do the Image of Pride, and I kind of figured out where my ward was and kind of did a little exploring and driving around, and I made my way down through Glendale Park, and it kind of caught my eye down there making the loop. The grass was well taken care of, mowed, nice landscaping. You can tell they take a great deal of pride in their yard, so I wanted to put their name in for the Image of Pride for May.
Okay, very good. Is there a motion and a second to award?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
Pat and Jerry. Okay, it's been made, motion and seconded to award the May 2024 Image of Pride to Scott and Jane Hoig for a property located at 943 Glendale Park Drive. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, Scott and Jane happen to be here. Do you want to come up for a photo?
Yeah, they
Are
do.
we doing that again this year? Okay.
Or by the flag, wherever.
Just know it means more flowers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. I want to take some
You
pointers.
just do it over there, or wherever you want, Jennifer.
Yeah, that's fine,
Over on this side
yeah,
here.
over
You
there.
wanna come
Oh,
around
this
here,
way.
we'll- yep.
Okay, she's over there. Okay, we'll go this way. Right, okay, thank you. Ready? Perfect. Good.
Now give me some
Got
tips on
my-
that grass. Thank you. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Okay, next item, thanks Jane and Scott.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Raquel Thompson with the fiscal year 2023 audit.
I'm sure
you've all had a chance to read this cover to cover, so I'll just hit the high points. The purpose of the audit is to issue an opinion on the financial statements. And to do that, I obtain an understanding of the internal controls and the procedures to capture the financial data and record it. And then I use that to identify and assess risks to the areas of the financial statement and develop procedures to address those risks. And I take that evidence that's gathered and issue an opinion. And for the year ended 6/30/23, I did issue an unmodified opinion, which is the best possible opinion. And the actual financial statements start on page 5. And this first statement is a summary of all activity for the entire city. It includes the governmental funds and the enterprise funds. So at the end of June, the financial position of the entire city was just under 8 million. And on page 6 is a summary of just the governmental funds. So of that 8 million, approximately 5 million is the governmental funds. And then that first column represents the general fund. And the general fund did decrease the cash balance of about 200,000 during the year, which left an ending balance of 1.6 million. And that's approximately 8 months of expenses. So you're in good financial position. On page 7 is the summary of all the enterprise funds. And all funds together represent about 3 million, the 8 million. And pages 8 through 20 are all the financial statement notes. I won't go through those unless you have any questions on those. They just provide more detail on the various financial numbers, like the debt obligations, details on those, and transfers and things like that. On page 20 is the comparison of actual to budget. Overall, the revenues were just under 81,000 below what was budgeted, and disbursements were under budget by 747,000, with 2 areas going over budget, which were the public works and debt service. Back on page 27 is a nice summary that compares the revenues and disbursements for the last 10 years. Kind of see the trends. Basically, the bigger increases in revenue have been property taxes and intergovernmental. The property taxes, of course, are based on your assessed values. And then the intergovernmental, you can see, really increased the last 2 years, which is largely responsible or due to the grants and COVID money that you've received. And in the disbursements, this last year, the bigger increases are in public safety and public works. And the actual findings start on page 30. And these are very similar to last year. There's a segregation of duties, which is very common for small towns. The certified budget being overexpended in those 2 areas. Just a disclosure for the related party transactions that the city has with either city officials or employees. One new comment was on page 32, dealing with the revenue bonds. The net receipts in the sewer fund should exceed 110% of principal and interest that are coming due. I found you're a little short this last year, but I think that was due to some unexpected expenses in the sewer fund. So, and then the questionable disbursements to Hampton Senior Center and the municipal band. That comment's due to not having a 2080 agreement with those entities. And on the last page, there was just a comment on the interfund transfers, those resolutions being done prior to the transfer.
And then, some long outstanding checks were noted. Overall, it was a good report. Have any questions?
Could you tell me where the balance for the Highway 65 project is?
That's the bond note that we're on our last payment of this. So that would be GO bond note.
Oh, you have the debt payment?
Yeah.
What page is that on? Is that the same,
That would be on page 11.
$95,000.
Oh, it's probably that 235,000.
Oh, yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
principal.
and where would the sewer balance be at?
That's on the same page.
There's a
Right
separate
under.
there.
I see that. 5,065,000.
That, the ending balance would be 4.7 over to the right.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Guess not. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Okay, this time I would look for a motion and a second to acknowledge receipt of the fiscal year 2023 audit report.
So moved.
Barry, and is there a second?
So,
Second.
You can pick.
Jerry.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll put that to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item under new business is consideration of the street department foreman job description and with wage differential. And I would refer comment to Ron Dunt.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And we discussed this at the workshop on Monday. Basically, this is a job describing Want to proceed?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I think they're okay.
Basically, this position would implement and coordinate maintenance of street repair, stormwater facilities, jobs that were assigned by the Public Works Director. In the event the Public Works Director is not on site, the foreman would coordinate each task so that it's properly scheduled, manned, and equipped in the Public Works Director's absence. It's not a supervisor or a department head. Also would come with a $2,000 pay differential for the additional responsibilities. Thank you.
Is there a deadline for this?
No.
I'd like to request that we go into closed session and talk about it.
Tonight?
No,
Oh, okay. I don't.
I know
yeah,
we can't do it tonight.
Yeah. I have to, yeah, I can look into that. I don't know if that, this would qualify for a closed session, Barry, but I can look into it, but,
Well, part of it, my questions are some union issues, and so that's why I would like to
okay.
talk about it in closed session. If not, I'll just vote no.
Yeah. It's up to the council.
Any other thoughts from other council members?
I move to approve.
Okay, it's been moved to approve. Is there a second?
I guess I would like to hear Barry's concerns.
I guess I would say we did talk about it during a closed session.
Yes, we,
But I can look into, but there were other things that we discussed too, so, we can, yeah.
Okay, it has been moved, but
Yeah.
is there a second?
What, say that again, Em.
Okay, well, Pat made the motion to approve, I'm assuming approve, the street department foreman job description and wage differential. Really, for any discussion, we would need a second. If there's no second, it dies due to lack of a second. And then we could either consider the opposite of it, or we would move on.
At least if you seconded it, we could have a discussion about what we
Right.
need to talk about.
Right,
Yeah.
And if you all voted no, I don't care.
right,
But
correct.
It
Okay.
legally puts us in a position where we can talk about it.
Okay, I second it.
Okay, so there is a second. So then now we'll just go to discussion. We're not voting on it yet, but we'll have discussion. So,
That's my point of going in a closed session so we could discuss it.
And I would like to hear and consider Barry's concerns, just to be open-minded and fair.
So you can, yeah, I mean, you can vote it down. You can all
Okay.
vote nay, and then we'll have to
I-
bring it back.
I thought with something this sensitive, it would be best to more or less have what you would call a paper trail to vote it down and then
Yeah.
go into closed session later.
sure.
Or you can vote it down and it can be done and we move on. I mean, it's that too, so.
Bill, go
I
ahead.
would say our option would be to vote it down. And then have the closed session if
Yeah, I can look into, if it qualifies to, as, to legally go into closed session to just discuss that. And I'll just report back to you at a workshop.
Well, if it's not available to go into closed session, I'll just talk to you and the mayor about it,
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
or the mayor pro
yeah, and
tem.
it's not, we're not in a hurry, so it's okay,
All right.
yeah.
okay.
And if we vote it down, it's my understanding of parliamentary procedure, I mean, we could bring that back at another meeting. So it doesn't mean it's like dead in the water.
Okay.
It would just mean for this particular
No,
time, the motion would be,
I think that someone needs to be directing there, and they need a raise for it, but I've got other issues to talk about that are union issues.
Okay.
okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Nay.
Aye.
Okay, motion does fail. So with that, then, I think, Ron, like you said, you'll keep us
Yeah.
posted, you'll check, do some research on that, and we'll either have a close
Yeah.
session or, I guess, put it on a workshop agenda again, and then at some point, we'll bring it back. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, that was the last item under new business. Next item is the approval of the claims as recommended by staff for $131,880.89. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in, or any discussion? I guess we'll go with that. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, we have the approval and adoption of resolution and ordinances. And the first item is ordinance 402, an ordinance approving mobile food vendor regulations. This would be the first reading. And so I will refer comment to City Manager Dunt.
Thank you. So this is ordinance 402, an ordinance amending the city code of ordinances of the city of Hampton, Iowa by adding a new chapter 122A, mobile food vendors. Mobile food vendor is a retail food establishment that is a wheeled vehicle, such as a mobile truck or trailer, that is readily movable and designed for the service of food from the interior of the unit. A food unit license is required, that's .02. .03 is, there's a licensing application. The application request shall be filed at City Hall at least 24 hours in advance of the event. There's, under B, there's the contents of the application, such as the name of the applicant, mailing address, contact information, driver's license information, make and model of the vehicle or trailer. They must have, provide a valid Iowa food license with the application, and they must provide proof of a private property owner consent if applying to operate on private property. The next section, .04, talks about whether, if they're on public property, they have to request to be on public property with prior consent from the city council, unless it's a chamber-sponsored event such as at Band Shell. If, under B, on private property, they must obtain consent of the property owner. And then C, there's some performance standards, and number 1 I have highlighted and for you and in bold, just to point out that we do have a prohibition, they're prohibited from parking within 100 feet of any facade or outdoor seating of ground level establishment that sells prepared food or beverages. And then they can't have music or sound making devices blaring from the trailer or vehicle, music or other sound making things, that's prohibited. They shall display their city license in full view of the public in or on the unit. No drive-up service. They shall only serve patrons on foot. They'll maintain a minimum separation from buildings of 10 feet. The number 6 talks about patron safety, keeping pedestrians out of the public right-of-way and vehicle travel lanes, things like that. Number 7, they shall provide a trash receptacle for use by customers, keep the area around the mobile food unit clear of litter and trash, and then they shall remove all receptacles and trash bags after business hours. Also fees set by resolution, and that's a summary of the ordinance. This is a first reading of the ordinance. Any questions?
I've got one. For the ones that have mobile trailers, multiple ones of them, is it gonna be stated in the application that they'll have to register each of those if they've got more than one trailer or truck?
Yeah, I guess we haven't discussed that, but we would assume they need a permit for each truck
Yeah.
or trailer.
That way
Yes.
they don't try to bring their other truck or trailer in on another date, and then they'd have to be like, well, I already registered. Well, that was with your other truck. So if we could at least state that in the application.
I think maybe under A, 122A02, each mobile food unit shall be licensed separately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but
That'll
we
be
can,
listed.
we
Yeah.
can maybe mention that in the application, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'd like to see us approve this one and then at the next meeting waive the second. Go to the third. That way it's all set before we get busy with it.
Okay, we can have that as an option.
I move ordinance 402.
I'll
Okay.
second.
This has been moved and seconded, and I'm to approve ordinance 402. This would be first reading only. Is there any further discussion? I just wanted to mention in my code council column this week in the Hampton Chronicle, I specifically talked about this ordinance, so it is in the paper. So people are welcome to read that, as well as if they want a copy of the ordinance, they can contact City Hall. So any further discussion? If not, this is a roll call vote. Jerry? Griffey? We'll put it to a vote. We'll go ahead, roll call vote.
Aye.
And aye. Okay. Kevin?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Pat?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And Barry?
Aye.
Okay, the motion of the first reading for ordinance 402 does pass. Okay, moving on, the next item is resolution 2024-14, the resolution adopting plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 2024-2025 street rehabilitation program. And I will refer comment to Mark Crawford of Crawford engineering.
Actually, I'll cover this, Mayor.
Oh,
Thank you. Mayor
okay.
Pro Tem. Whereas on the 11th day of April 2024, plan specifications, form of contract, estimate of cost were filed with the clerk for the construction of certain public improvements described in general as the 2024-2025 street rehabilitation program. And whereas notice of hearing on plans, specs, form of contract, estimate of cost, public improvements was published as required by law. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Hampton, Iowa, that the plan, specs, form of contract, estimate of cost are hereby approved as a plan, specs, form of contract, estimate of cost for the public improvements as described in the preamble of this resolution. Thank you.
Okay, Mark, do you have any?
I don't have anything additional.
Okay.
How much was that under your, was it over your bid or under? Your estimate? I looked for it in the packet and I didn't see it.
So, the engineer's estimate for the base bid and all three alternates was $262,000, and the bids came in for the base bid and all three alternates at $279,500. So it was slightly over our estimate. And that primarily occurred in the base bid. All of the alternates were at or under our estimate for the alternates individually.
We talked about having Heartland mill some of those bumps in town. Are they gonna be able to do that?
On other streets
Yeah,
besides
there's
these three,
streets where frost has just pushed these up and they're there forever.
I guess what we'd have to do is take a look at that with the public works director and the city manager and see if,
Yeah, it
There's
wasn't
a-
part of this project.
it wasn't technically part of this project. If it was work outside this project, that would be an extra work order.
Okay.
So,
Okay, any discussion, questions? If not, I would entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Okay, Bill?
I'll second.
Second, and I'm assuming to approve Resolution 2024-14. Seeing no further discussion, that requires a roll call vote. We'll start with Barry.
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Jerry?
Aye.
And Bill?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution 2024-14 does pass. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-15, a resolution making an award of construction contract for the 2024-2025 street rehabilitation program. Does this go to Ron or?
Yeah, I can start.
Okay.
Yeah. Section 1, the following bid for the construction of certain public improvements described in general as a 2024-2025 street rehabilitation program described in the plans and specs, adopted on May 9th, 2024, is hereby accepted, and the same being the lowest responsible bid received for such work. The contractor, Heartland Asphalt Incorporated of Mesa City, Iowa. The amount of the bid, $279,582.54, which is for base bid and bid alternate number 1, number 2, and number 3, that the mayor and clerk are hereby directed to execute the contract with the contractor for the construction of the public improvements, such contract not to be binding on the city until approved by this council. Also, you have a copy of Mark's letter of recommendation to approve, and then I would also add that we have budgeted $300,000, so this is coming in under our budget, so. Mark, did you have anything to add to that? Okay.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
I guess I was talking about this milling where these streets have raised up. If, Doug, are you familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't need to
Yeah.
point
it's
it out or anything.
Close to intersections, and there's a metal bar in them, and that's what over time he makes pretty much like a speed bump,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a number of them. Yeah.
It's pretty annoying,
Yeah,
other than,
keeping traffic slow down a little.
restoring the street milling. But if there's a steel bar in there,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a steel strip. I'm not sure what the original intent of it. Mark would probably know, but
Not all of them have the steel bars, but yeah, most of them do. If you remember when we did the downtown rehabilitation project, and we were milling almost every intersection in the downtown area, and the downtown commercial zoning district has a lot of these. We ran across these down on Second Street, where we're about to do this mill and overlay there. There's another steel bar going
Okay.
through there as well. But I think there's some in the southeast as well.
Yeah.
Those don't have steel bars, but some of them, you're right, freeze thaw has taken its toll on some of those intersections. Some of those we've milled out in the past, or we've just cut them out and then put a patch, full depth patch in there.
thank you.
Yep.
Any more questions or discussion? Seeing none, I would look for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
And second, okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2024-15. With no further discussion, that requires a roll call vote. Barry?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
And I vote yes, and Jerry.
Aye.
Okay, motion, or the resolution 2024-15 does pass. Continuing on the agenda, we're now to the consent agenda, and would look to approve the following items on the consent agenda. Approve the previous minutes as drafted from the Thursday, April 25th, 2024 regular session. Schedule the next regular session for Thursday, May 23rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Hampton City Council chambers. And the third item and final item is approval of alcohol licensing renewal for Casey's General Store number 1605 at 1719 4th Street Northeast, Hampton. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
I make a motion, I'll second for the consent agenda.
Got that, sir?
Jerry and Barry.
Okay, very good. And that'll just require a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, that leads us to the staff reports, and we'll start with Police Chief Mark Morrison, please.
I just want to give a quick update on nuisance since Monday. We've got ourselves back on the court schedule. We're going to have magistrate court twice a month until July when she takes over for the county attorney. So we're back in motion getting some of those court orders out and cleanups done. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Leah Lewis, our administrative assistant. She had her 5-year work anniversary this week. She's often unseen because she's in the office there. But we are very grateful for her. We're grateful for her hard work, dedication, and positive attitude. So if you see her, congratulate her on 5 years here at the police department. Also, the Police Citizens Academy has been going well. We are 2 weeks in. We've had a great group of students who have been attentive and asked good questions. The instructors have been doing a good job, and we'd just like to thank everybody for helping us put this together. So it's been going well. If there's any questions.
I'd like to make a comment. If we had an employee directory, we could see what she looked like.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Doug Tarr, Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I really didn't have much of a report tonight, but after hearing some of the comments I heard earlier, I think I'll go ahead and address some of those concerns about the stormwater intakes in our community. One thing I will tell you is a lot of the most recent rain events that we've had would classify in the 100 to, I think we've had one 500-year event actually in the last few weeks. I think if you go and would drive around town after a rain, you'll notice that all of our intakes are taking. They might be slow, there might be some that are slow, but they are taking. I have had a couple of concerns where when we had a couple of these big rain events that, well, my intersection's plugged and I go up there, by the time I get there, it's already gone. Our stormwater system, I think we have about 30% of our community has storm sewer. That's about it. So by standards, the way things have changed over the years and what rain events look like versus what they are now compared to what they were before when they were installed, our storm system's pretty old. I don't believe that they are plugged per se, but we have had a couple. We had one up in near the middle school a week ago. That one was plugged, and staff jetted that one out. It was full of grass clippings. We were able to get our jet through there and get things flowing just fine. If people would call us when these events are going on or something, we'd be more than happy to look at those while it's happening. That way we can make sure that, it's not plugged. But I can tell you that for the most part, most everything that I'm aware of right now is taking. Like I said, some slow and some's not. Now,
Doug, can I interrupt you?
yeah,
I just have a comment. The analogy that I use for these concerns of the storm sewers not taking the water fast enough is when you're at home and you fill your bathtub up full, and you take a hot bath and it's full, and you get out and you pull that little plug that's this big, it doesn't just immediately disappear. If you wanted it to immediately disappear, your drain would have to be this big in your bathtub. If we want, so our storm sewers are working. It takes some time because we can't have oversized pipes.
correct. We can't afford oversized.
We have adequate storm sewers and they drain, so.
Thank you.
So would you rather have me out there with a rake standing in hip-deep water, or you guys come down and take care of it?
I just assume somebody call me and let me take care of it.
Right, right. Yeah, I don't want to see, any of us on patrol out
Correct.
there jeopardizing things that we could, if we turned an ankle in a hole we didn't see
Right.
or mess something up, I would rather call the professionals and have you guys take care of it. Stuff, yeah, like you said, stuff like this is going to happen. I mean, Dick knows from years and years and years out in front of the trading post. My God, you guys had a lake out there. And we got the new Highway 65 project in, and there's no more lakes. I mean,
And we're, every time it rains, you're gonna get debris
Right.
that fills
right. And
grates. It happens.
And driving around Hampton lately, with the amount of people I see blowing snow on the side, or blowing grass on the sidewalk, I'm stunned that there's not more of it.
Correct.
I have pictures of this plugged storm sewer intakes I took last week in the southeast part of town, and then North Federal, south of 12th, there's one. Part of the problem is, like I was complaining before, the streets never got swept, so all that debris is there, and it has to go somewhere.
It doesn't help. It's
So-
not helping.
So, part of her complaint is correct, but when you clean them out, you can't scrape it out this far away from it, because it's gonna wash right back in there.
Absolutely.
If you'd like to see the pictures, I'll show them to you,
Yep,
or I'll
Sorry to
give you the
interrupt
addresses.
that'd be great.
I did have somebody send me approximately 150 photos of the concrete plant and the litter and debris around there. And I know it's a catch-all. That's an open field and stuff's just blowing in. Heck, it could be wrappers and stuff from the pool from last summer.
I met with that lady earlier this week. We had a great discussion about a plan of attack.
Good, good. And are the concrete trucks allowed to wash out there? Is that fine?
No, they are not, and I made a trip out there yesterday and had a conversation with the new company that owns that
Okay.
and their manager.
Good, appreciate it. That's all I had.
Have you talked to the person that bought Barkmas building? He had all that concrete there. Well, there's still piles of
Debris.
gravel and
Right.
stuff there.
We've had conversations with them. I believe that's why the concrete finally ended up getting removed, because we had conversations with them. They took that out to the ready mix because they're taking some concrete, and I also know the county's been taking concrete. But recently, no, Barry, not recently, but we did a while back to get the concrete.
It's still a mess.
Right.
The south side parking, they're gonna tie into the city storm sewer.
Yep,
Is that gonna handle that?
I hope so. Their engineers had to look at it and tell us it was okay, so I
Where does
hope
that
so.
flow? To the south?
I believe it
Out to
flows to
that
the
drainage
east.
ditch?
I think it flows east, depending on which one. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the plan for a while, but I know some stuff flows to the east. I know some stuff flows to the south.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Doug?
Oh, and the sweeper is in Hudson, Iowa, being looked at. So I've gotten a little feedback from them already, and we'll just have to make some assessments once we get more details.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Appreciate it. Next, Ron, do you have a report?
I don't have anything unless anybody has any questions.
We can't do that.
I've got a question about Olive Avenue South. Now, we talked about that entrance to the airport, and you said it was the city's road.
It's
Is
it's
that
half city, half
Is that a
county.
farm-to-market road, or?
Possibly.
You know, the county milled that like 10 or 15 years ago. And I'm just wondering if it's a farm to market, they could fix that entrance to the airport.
Yeah, we could. It's basically the apron is
Right,
more gravel
right.
than pavement
Right.
on the apron.
Because of that culvert
Yeah.
extension.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's,
yeah. It boiled down to money and.
there's so much stuff we could do, but not enough money.
Yeah.
So any other questions for Ron? Seeing none, we'll move to council reports. Start with Kevin.
I'd like to, I had, like you touched on, Doug, the intake down there at the middle school. I had a couple people say, and glad you guys got that taken care of and it wasn't too big of an issue. And Mark, thanks again for help with the Citizens Academy. I enjoy looking at all the pictures on there and having the engagement with all the residents and the people that are joining. It looks like they're having a good time and stuff, so thank you guys.
Thanks, Kevin. Barry?
As far as the public comments go, the actual minutes are condensed because we couldn't afford to print every single word in the paper. And there's other options for citizens to listen to the comments through Zoom. Now we have YouTube. Most of my comments are done when the Public Works Director or the Police Chief address the council. I don't have comments a lot of times at the end of the meeting, or I'll talk to them personally. And one thing that disturbs me is we need to get firm with people that start roaming around clapping their hands in a hostile manner. That she needed to be ejected. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Pat?
Yeah, I was going to point out the YouTube situation. I looked at it Monday after the workshop, and I tell you what, I couldn't believe the quality of the camera. I know they're going to get the other one here after we train Becky to be a videographer and get her all, send her to movie school and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, if you're interested, you go to youtube.com/@ the city of Hampton, Iowa. And as they say, please be sure to like and subscribe. Did I read this whole book? No, I did not read this whole book. I always skip to the page that has the summary of what the gal says or what the CPA says. And at the end of the little meeting that we had here with the CPA, the last thing she said is the most important thing. You're in good financial condition. and that's a tribute to Ron and what he does. The state this year, in the last couple of years, has thrown up more roadblocks to this budget process and has cost our city and a lot of cities a lot of money, who may have to hire outside help or outside clerking help to do budgets. I know the city of Coulter, they were training a new gal to be the city clerk. 5 months into it, she quit. It's not a secretarial job, or it's not just a part-time job. You know, it may be some part-time hours, but these budget things are full-time when it comes to January through April. It's just almost a full-time job for some people, and the state has not made it easier. I know they're trying to get people to, transparency and this and that, not hiding anything and whatnot, but sometimes they go overboard on stuff like that. But I'm glad to hear the CPA say you're in good financial condition. Anyway, that's that. I've noticed the downtown lately looking really, really nice, and I appreciate all those involved in that. And I can't wait till the street projects start this summer. So that's my report.
Thank you. Jerry?
Well, I'd just like to say the Older Americans Proclamation, yay. My mom's 92. If you see her walking around town, that's my mom, that little tiny thing. Just keeps it going, and she lives in my district, so there's a little kudos for my district. As far as the intakes go, everybody on my street blows their grass into the street. I'm hesitant to say anything because we've had so many conflicts with parking, so on and so forth. If I correct them, they get rather irritated with me. So I haven't said much. I did stop some young kids the other night and tell them it's against the law to blow the grass in the street. Please don't do that. And they did quit, so, good for them. As far as the park goes in my ward, I always listen to people when they come forward with comments or complaints or requests. Nobody's requested that there be extra playground equipment put in place for these kids in my ward. And the person complaining about that doesn't have children and doesn't live in my ward. I know that East Park got the equipment because they serve a lot of kids. A lot of kids. That's where the soccer tournaments are and everything. And as far as public comments go, like Barry, I often take care of that in private. Ron and Mark have both invited me. Contact me personally if you have concerns. And I always do, and I appreciate your attention when I do have concerns. I don't think it's necessary that we have to bring everything up in a council meeting when we can take care of it on a personal level. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Bill?
I'd like to wish all the ladies a happy Mother's Day. Are you a lady?
Yes.
A little bit on the police academy. Oh, I'm surprised. I may have something to say here at the end of the meeting, but the police academy was absolutely great. Both sessions, the one last night, I'm not sure I'm really smart enough to take all that in to really understand all the medical stuff. But it was good. My attendance was good. Look at here, folks.
Woo!
Look at here. Stop the bleeding cord.
Put that in the minutes.
Yeah. Now, going along with Barry, the one who was up here beating her tom-toms, I'm not overly happy with her ever. I think she should have been booted out also. And I'm sorry, folks. I'd like to say more about it, but I'm not going to. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Well, for my report, I have a couple items. I did attend the Franklin County Tourism Board meeting this afternoon that was held at 4:30 at Center 1. May is Preservation Month, and I know council in front of you, and I have some for everyone in the audience here, the Hampton Historic Preservation Commission is doing a scavenger hunt again. So there's a picture of 9 different pictures of little small parts of a building downtown, and then you need to identify what that building is, and if you do, you get 2 passes to the Windsor Theater. So if anyone wants a copy, I have it here. Also, the Friends of the Cemetery, I might have mentioned this before, is having the cemetery walk again on Sunday, May 26th, at 1 and 2 o'clock. There's going to be 5 stops for that. And then finally, just to address like the playground request for Memorial Park, yes, Kiwanis has done, raised a heck of a lot of money to put in at Harriman Park and at East Park, and they are looking to do another project again, another playground project. So I'm not on their board of directors, but I will bring that up to the board's attention, maybe as an option to consider Memorial Park. Again, they're a volunteer group. I just find it's interesting that you hear somebody complain so much, but then do you want to get involved and do something to help? No. And that disappoints me. I mean, but anyway, moving on, that's all I have. Is there any other business before our group this evening? And if not, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Jerry.